Hi, my name is Chris Hopwood. I'm the Global Marketing Manager for GT Bicycles, and we're here in beautiful Park City and Lifeboat Press Camp. I'm here to talk to you at mtbr.com today about the new 2014 GT Fury. Obviously, you've probably seen, if you follow the downhill racing world, the last two World Cups, both Gee and Rachel have done the double-double. We can't be more happy about that. It just shows that the fruits of our labor are paying off. So details about the frame that we're going to get into. Obviously, number one, it's not carbon like our old bike was. One of the reasons that we were able to do that is, prototyping, being able to change things. In the first year of a design, it was really nice to be able to have an aluminum frame. But the difference there is that, number one, this bike, the frame alone is 300 grams lighter than last year's carbon frame. It's 500 grams lighter than last year's alloy frame. It's 26% stiffer in the head tube and 34% stiffer in the bottom bracket. So those numbers are pretty staggering. I know it's hard to believe, but all in all, it is true. We've done the testing ourselves, our own bikes versus our own bikes, and those are the numbers that basically came back. So what you've been able to see is a bike that will be able to prove itself on the World Cup circuit, and that is what we built it for. Other main features of the new design here is that we basically took away the majority of the forgings on the frame. One of the things that we want to do in order to lighten it up was basically, with all the forgings, they're very strong, but they're also extremely heavy and they're very expensive. So in order to keep costs down, be able to get the bikes at a little bit lower price point, using a lot of tubing and a lot of shaping gets you to a point where you have a lot of hollow pieces, very, very strong, but very lightweight. And that's down to everything, even including hollow disc brake post mounts that are then welded closed as they're put onto the frame. The main key features of the new suspension is that we basically took the ID system and changed it around a lot. The one main thing we wanted to do was put as much of the rider's weight as possible onto the main axle. This in turn allows the rear suspension to be able to do what it needs to do. This is a rearward arcing rear suspension, really similar to the Sensor and the Force that we just came out with in 2014. But the pedaling characteristics of this bike are a lot different. When you look at what downhill racers are dealing with on a World Cup level, I mean even at a national level or just going to the resort, you're typically pedaling on a bike and on trails that are really rough, really rocky, and so you need to have a suspension that is going to be soaking that up. But with our independent drivetrain system, what it allows us to do is design a bike that pedals extremely well over very, very rough terrain, instead of designing the bike to pedal really well, say, in a parking lot, which has been proven. Obviously, you've seen it on the World Cup, but all in all, it's very, very efficient, and it's very small. We're able to tuck it up inside the frame and make it a lot stiffer, and that's where you're seeing a lot of that stiffness increase from last year's previous model. Other things, we have a fully asymmetrical rear end on the bike. The non-drive side of the bike is a lot thicker and sits a lot more off to the left side of the frame than the right side, and that's due to so that we can get great chain line, great stiffness, as well as make sure that we are using every piece of the bottom bracket area as we possibly could. And then there was some really major geometry changes. We shortened the rear end a bunch, really lengthened the top tube. It's a lot longer. And so we also designed the bikes around a 30mm stem. So the front center of these bikes are very long, but with the shorter stem, it's going to give you a lot of control. These bikes stock will come with a 30-50mm adjustable, so you can have the 30, you can have a bike that will feel very similar to your previous bike. If you want to start pushing the limits and go a little bit further, like Gee and Rachel are doing, to basically try and find that extra little second and the extra little bit of confidence on a gnarly descent, you can adjust the stem outward. All in all, in the model that you see in front of me will be the new Fury Team. We're going to have 4 models in the lineup. We'll have the World Cup, which will be an Atherton replica bike, essentially. You're going to have a Fury Team model, which will be a Z-level bike. Then you're going to have a Fury Expert as well as a Fury Elite. They should be ranging in price from about $3,000 up to about $7,500 to $8,000. Those are approximate prices, so don't take me for a word on that. The top 2 models will carry the new Fox 40 RAV4X with air spring. We'll have the Expert, we'll have a Fox 40 as well, but with a coil spring. And then when you get down to the elite level bike at the low price range, you'll get into a RockShox. I believe it's a Domain with a triple clamp. So if you want to get out there and you want to have a lot of fun and you were looking for a new downhill bike, make sure you go to gtbicycles.com and check it out.